This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details.
It's true that some things change as we get older. But if you're a woman over 40 and you're dealing with insomnia, brain fog, moodiness, and weight gain, you don't have to accept it as just another part of aging. And with MIDI Health, you can get help and stop pushing through it alone. The experts at MIDI understand that all these symptoms can be connected to the hormonal changes that happen around menopause, and MIDI can help you feel more like yourself again. Many healthcare providers aren't trained to treat or even recognize menopause symptoms. MIDI clinicians are menopause experts. They're dedicated to providing safe, effective, FDA-approved solutions for dozens of hormonal symptoms, not just hot flashes. Most importantly, they're covered by insurance. 91% of MIDI patients get relief from symptoms within just 2 months. You deserve to feel great. Book your virtual visit today at joinmidi.com. That's joinmidi.com.
KFAN and Sukup Manufacturing bring you Fan on the Farm starting May 19th. 9 to noon will be taking your tractor talkbacks. Each day, one farmer will be chosen to receive a Sukup prize pack, including a Carhartt cooler, a Brewmate Growler canteen. Get full details, KFAN.com/farm. Sukup Manufacturing Company, helping farmers feed and fuel the world.
Kentucky Derby tomorrow. Watch and wager, be a part of history. And to discuss that and go to touting with us is Dick Jerardi. And this is courtesy of betonline.ag. Dick has covered horse racing for 3+ decades and all Triple Crown and Breeders' Cup races since the mid-'80s. Dick Jerardi, it's Paul Allen. The co-host is Alec Lewis. Great to meet you, my man. Kentucky Derby 151 is on the horizon. Oaks Day today. How are things with you?
All good, Paul and Alec. And Paul, you are one of my favorite race callers, and I love it when they hit the 16th pole at Canterbury and you say it's a touchdown, a field goal. What do you say? Oh, you say it's 100 yards to go. I can hear you now.
Into the final football field. Girardi leads by 5. Well, that's nice of you.
I blew it, but I love the final football field. It's awesome, and obviously I love your calls on the Vikings. So great to talk to you guys.
Yeah, likewise, man. It's very nice of you to say that. I appreciate that. Kentucky Derby 151. Couple of scratches here for those following from afar. Rodriguez and Grande both are out. The also, as we say in the business, Baeza gets in. 19 of them as of now. And let's begin here. Santa Anita Derby winner Journalism is the morning line favorite. How do we beat Journalism, Dick?
I hope we don't, Paul, because I'm betting him. Everything I have is going on him one way or another. If he doesn't win, I'm in trouble. It's 8 with something or another. I loved his 2 races this year. He's won 4 in a row. I've known Michael McCarthy, the trainer, for quite a long time. He's had some good horses, but this is really his breakthrough horse. As you know, he won the Preakness a couple of years ago with Ron Bauer, but this horse is completely different than that. And one of the many cool things about the Derby is you can get 4-1 on a horse in a normal race that he'd be 8-5 because it's 19 horses.
Right.
You'll get prices you would never get otherwise. So, yeah, I'm a Journalism fan. I'll be playing them on top and exactas and trifectas and superfectas and back ends and doubles and everything else.
And Alec, Alec by day is helping us with the Friday football feast, but by day and night, he covers the Minnesota Vikings for The Athletic and theathletic.com. So he also is a journalist, and, maybe that's going to hit him hard when he makes his $2 win bet. But with journalism, in watching back the Santa Anita Derby, which was just a 5-horse field, and I think this is a legitimate factor into the race, is he found a little bit of trouble in that 5-horse race in Arcadia, where he had to shift out at the top of the stretch, and it cost him about a length and a half, but he still won, and he's very, very gifted and talented. Now he faces 19 others, and we're in the favorites beating business, man. So if Journalism, you know how it is. You followed, covered, and watched more derbies than me. If he gets in even a little bit of trouble in Louisville, it's lights out, right?
Yeah, you just can't do it because, as you said, the 19-horse field. I think he's got a lot going for him, right? The talent that you mentioned. He's got California speed, Paul and Alec, in the fact, if you watch the Santa Anita Derby replay, he's only a length behind as they hit the first turn, and they're going fast. And having talked to Michael McCarthy about this, the strategy is pretty simple at the beginning. They're going to use his speed to get position, and what they're hoping for is to come out of the first turn, say no worse than fifth or sixth. So for them, it's not going to be a 19-horse field. It's going to be a 5 or 6 horse field, right? They're going to have the same amount of horses in front that he normally has. So everything is all about that first quarter-mile run to the finish line the first time. And I think he's got enough speed to get position. But the part you can't know is the horse to his right going to bump him? Is some horse going to come over in front of him? That's all stuff. You can't really calculate that because you simply don't know what's going to happen until after the gates open.
Dick, first and foremost, ton of respect for your career. I know you've done it for a long, long time. So just wanted to say that at the outset. I'm curious, just, I'm more of a novice in the field compared to Paul across from me right here. But I mean, Bob Baffert being back, it sounds like, or at least for me, just knowing it a little bit, that is a massive story. I'm curious for you, how do people view him kind of in the field now coming back as this, interesting, as a trainer who has had the interesting path that he has had?
Yeah, for sure. It's a great question. And I would turn people to The Athletic, your publication. My good friend Dana O'Neill, who's my best friend in the business, we worked at the Daily News for years together, wrote a terrific piece on Baffert and coming back. And I would recommend it to everybody because I think it really puts it into perspective what the suspension was about, the fact that the medication violation, and Paul, you know this, being in the business, it was not a performance enhancer. It was more of a jaywalking / misdemeanor. The problem was it had happened several times within a year period, and Churchill Downs was just embarrassed by the fact that they were going to have to disqualify the Derby winner. And by rule, you had to. You didn't really have a choice. You can't have that substance in your system. But I thought the suspension went on longer than it needed to be, like substantially longer. But here's the good news. It's over, and that's kind of the gist of Dana's story, that Baffert dealt with it. He finally said, look, I did it. It was my mistake, and he's back. And I'm glad he's back because, look, he is the Triple Crown. He's dominated the series, 2 Triple Crowns in 2015 and then 2018. So, yeah, I'm glad to see him back. But it is a complicated issue, and I get people are passionate about it. And I'll tell you on another story in The Athletic that Dana worked on this week on Michael McCarthy, the trainer of journalism. And for the people that don't know, Michael lives in Altadena. He has not been back to his house since the fires in January. He's been living with his in-laws. So he's training the Derby favorite while he and his family are nowhere near his house.
Dick, I know you've covered as many of these as you have. What is your favorite part, or like you would know the lay of the land of covering this race, but among that, what is your favorite part about it? Like when you return or when you approach it each year, like the part that you cannot wait to embark on as someone covering the race?
Yeah, getting to see people that you often only see once a year, trainers, jockeys, owners of horse races, other people in the business. And there were certain rituals that I had. We always went to dinner at a steak place outside of town on the Tuesday night. And I often wanted the really good clockers to be there, the guys that were watching the horses every morning, to get a sense of what they saw. Because, I have a sense of what's going on, but I know they know more than I do. And I'm looking for story ideas, and I'm also looking for something to bet on. So, yeah, I'm always looking for insights. But, yeah, just the rituals of being there. Anything that you do, like an event like this just once a year, you always look forward to it. And I've been to 35 of them. So, wow. Yeah, I've seen the racetrack change. I've seen the city change. But being there is always a cool deal.
This is Dick Jerardi, courtesy of betonline.ag. You can follow him via the X machine at Dick Jerardi. He's covered horse racing for multiple decades. When I started in horse racing in 1989, covering it for the Pasadena Star News and the San Gabriel Valley Tribune, Joe Hirsch used to be in our press box at Santa Anita, and you Dick, is it the Joe Hirsch wing of the Hall of Fame in Saratoga Springs? I think you're at HOF, right?
Media Roll of Honor. Yeah, thanks, Paul. Yeah, last summer I got into that, and a lot of my good friends are in there. I know you would know Jay Privman, who wrote for years, the Southern California guy, who was probably in the press box about the same time you're talking about.
Yep.
One of my good friends in the business. And I got a lot of Jeff Siegel and Bob Ike. I got a lot of good Southern California friends that I'm sure you were very familiar with.
Well, that's amazing you mentioned that, because like in my first few years, I mean, I'm 22 years old and I'm covering high-level horse racing in Santa Anita, Hollywood Park, and Del Mar. And we had a corner that was dubbed by, do you remember Jack Disney? He used to cover the Raiders for the Herald Examiner. Alan Malamud, who was a columnist for the Herald Examiner, God rest his soul. Jack Disney dubbed our part of the press box Psycho Corner. It went handicapper Mike Superstein, then me, then Jack Carlick, then Bob Ike, then Jay Privman, and then Bob Mazursky. And awesome. he dubbed it Psycho Corner for whatever the reason. Now, hey, Dick, some Bet Online props. I just got a couple here, on which you can opine. Will there be a Triple Crown sweep? The yes is 4-1. The no is 1-7.
Look, I think journalism has a real chance, Paul, but I'm not thrilled with 4-1. I would want a little more than that.
Right.
I mean, I know how hard it is. So, but yeah, I think it's possible. But yeah, give me like 7 or 8-1. I'd be a little more interested.
Will the Derby winner prevail by a length and a half or more? Now, I didn't go to the site to see what the numbers are. Generally speaking, it would be minus 110 each way. Online sites generally juice that a little bit, so I'm going to say it's minus 120 each way. But will the winner tomorrow prevail by a length and a half or more?
My favorite prop at Bet Online, the answer is yes.
Hey.
Look, if I'm right about journalism, I don't think it's going to be close. And here's the good news. If I'm wrong about journalism, any of the other 18 horses wins by more than a length and a half, you still cash the bet. So you have all kind of opportunities to cash. Last year was an anomaly with the 3-horse photo. I mean, Paul, you've watched enough of these derbies. Normally, all these horses are hitting the wall at the stretch, and somebody gets away. And again, if I'm right about journalism, I think he's the one that takes the lead at the top of the stretch and just runs away from the field.
Sovereignty is quite steamy. Won the Fountain of Youth, but lost the Florida Derby. I mean, it's the Kentucky Derby, man. You know as much about it as anybody. It's you can have a favorite, but I mean, if just the littlest thing goes wrong, well, then it's bonkers, and the superfecta pay $75,000. So, like Sovereignty around 6-1. What do you think of him?
Love everything about him, especially love his trainer, Bill Mott. He's one of the best ever at pointing a horse for a specific target and having him peak on that day. So, like, he finished second in the Florida Derby, but that wasn't the goal, right? This is the goal. So, yeah, he's definitely a significant contender. Everything about him, bloodlines suggest 1.25 miles, the running style, and more than anything else, the trainer. He's just as good as it gets.
Dick, among the long shots, which is the most interesting to you and why?
The 3, Final Gambit.
Ooh.
He's 30-1 on the morning line. I'll be interested to see what his final price is, obviously. Brad Cox is the trainer.
Yep.
Becoming a legend in the game over the last decade. The issue there is he won the big race at Turfway Park, which has an artificial surface. So the question is, can he duplicate that form on the dirt, on the main track? If he can, and the bloodline suggests he'll be okay on the dirt, and watching him train, I would say he looks okay. He, to me, is the best chance for a long shot to either hit the board or potentially win. So 3, Final Gambit is my live long shot.
Yeah, Final Gambit is a beautiful white horse trained by Brad Cox, as Dick just said. Machado rides, and he actually jumps off a horse I like, Luxor Cafe, to ride this horse. But that happens when Brad Cox calls, you answer the call, and unless you're Irad Ortiz Jr., with options, you jump on that horse no matter the odds. But he won the JR Stakes at Turfway Park. And in that race, he was destroyed out of the starting gate. Had to pinch all the way back to last. Made this majestic, sweeping, beautiful move in this is for Dick, in the final football field when he changed leads.
Yes.
And he caught stride. Holy cow, did he look good at the end of the race. Yeah, I love that tout. Lastly, the horse that I like, now I'm not saying I'm going to go crazy from a win betting standpoint. There are a couple of them in here. This would be the only race where I would bet two horses to win. One of them is East Avenue, who ran second in the Bluegrass, but Luxor Cafe. Now, the horse comes from Japan, but consider this, and you probably already know it. When he won his last race, three of the horses he beat went to the United Arab Emirates Dubai World Cup Day, and they ran 1, 2, 3 in the UAE Derby. These horses from Japan, whether it's the Breeders' Cup or the Dubai World Cup Day or whatever, Forever Young, a Japanese horse, ran second in the Derby recently, I think last year. This circuit is emerging and it's improving. And I think this Luxor Cafe, man, it's, I know you like journalism, and I like journalism too, but throw that one in your top 2, 3, or 4 just in case, Dick.
The Japanese are going to win the Derby, whether it's going to be this year. You're right about Forever Young. He ran a winning race last year. He just had enough trouble that he couldn't get there. He was involved in that 3-horse photo. So, yeah, it's among the best racing in the world, and they're winning races in Europe and in the Middle East and have won Breeders' Cup races. So, yeah, I got no problem with Luxor Cafe running well. They know what they're doing in Japan with these racehorses.
You're fantastic, and I followed you from afar for many, many years when you wrote in Philly, and best of luck with your future endeavors, and maybe we can do this again in front of the Preakness, okay?
Love it. Sounds like a plan. Thanks guys.
Dick. Appreciate you, man. Dick Jerardi. He has covered horse racing for 3.5 decades. I believe it was the Philadelphia Daily News or the Inquirer, one of the two.
It's a lot of sports writing.
Right, but we in the game have known about Dick for many, many years. Super well respected, has some HOF to him. The Kentucky Derby, if you're interested, like at Canterbury Park, we have a Derby party tomorrow. The Derby's at about 6:00, and there'll be a lot of beautiful people there, like University of St. Thomas. They ship busloads of people over there, kids, students, with the beautiful hats and dresses, and the guys dress up and everything. And it's really, really a wonderful day at Canterbury. And you can watch and wager on the Kentucky Derby. If you're interested, but you can't make it out tomorrow, you can advance wager the Kentucky Derby at Canterbury Park today. So take your pick. Who do you like? Canterbury Park and Shakopee. Learn more at canterburypark.com. Alec Lewis and I head waist deep into the big muddy, known as football, next segment, and we're going to begin with Alec offering up a proclamation or some things that he wants to share off a previous conversation. We call it FISA, Fairness and Sam Howell Act. That's coming up around the corner, but first...
The cash thing, the fan and bigdeck.com. I'm going to give you a shot to win bonus bucks with our national cash contest. Head to KFAN.com. Enter the keyword bank. The keyword is bank, KFAN.com. Keyword.
It's true that some things change as we get older. But if you're a woman over 40 and you're dealing with insomnia, brain fog, moodiness, and weight gain, you don't have to accept it as just another part of aging. And with MIDI Health, you can get help and stop pushing through it alone. The experts at MIDI understand that all these symptoms can be connected to the hormonal changes that happen around menopause, and MIDI can help you feel more like yourself again. Many healthcare providers aren't trained to treat or even recognize menopause symptoms. MIDI clinicians are menopause experts. They're dedicated to providing safe, effective, FDA-approved solutions for dozens of hormonal symptoms, not just hot flashes. Most importantly, they're covered by insurance. 91% of MIDI patients get relief from symptoms within just 2 months. You deserve to feel great. Book your virtual visit today at joinmidi.com. That's joinmidi.com.
You're listening to The Fan.
Give a one-of-a-kind gift this Mother's Day with a spa experience at Woodhouse Spa. Check out our contest page for your chance to win a $100 gift card. KFAN.com, keyword contest center.
KO, what's going on?
Let's play hockey!
Wow! That's the first time I've heard that. Hold on.
It's time to drop the puck!
Let's play hockey!
I mean, I didn't know Big Boy could get his voice that deep into to that level. Holy cow, that was pretty good.
Yeah, O'Connell did a good job. I also saw a couple of the guys like riding around in a Zamboni or something. Brian Angelico had a driver's cap on.
Really?
Ryan Cordell was in the mix, and yeah, it was. I saw Kevin had his son out there. So,
yeah. This was last night.
Yeah.
Let's play hockey!
That doesn't even sound like him.
Not really. But I give him credit. On the mic, he's always been good on the mic.
Yeah.
He's always good on the mic.
You know what he does on the microphone?
Let's hear it.
He gives his best when his best is required.
Yep, that's exactly correct.
And,
he always does.
Yep. It's you take Rachel Ramsey and you roll into Kevin O'Connell and you get this.
It's time to drop the puck.
Let's play hockey!
Hockey!
I hope he hears that.
Like that!
FISA, Fairness and Sam Howell Act. This part of the equation was not concocted or presented or delivered by yours truly. This plays off a suggestion by Alec Lewis of The Athletic, theathletic.com, at Alec_Lewis, if you would care to follow him via Twitter, as 9 to Noon does. I understand that there is something or are some things that you would like to share about Sam Howell, and good morning.
Yeah, good morning. I was in here either last week or 2 weeks ago, and we were talking about the backup quarterback situation.
Yep.
And we were talking about Kirk, and we were talking about Aiden O'Connell.
Yep, Joe Flacco.
Yeah, your favorite quarterback of all time,
No
Joe
doubt.
Flacco.
Yep.
And I was not kind to Aiden O'Connell. I was also quite rude to Sam Howell. And,
Rude?
Yeah.
You're going to go that far?
Yeah, it was rude. It really was. And I, in the moment, I knew I was probably going overboard.
Well, wait a second. This isn't a covenant cleanup. Yeah, this is. Go ahead. Just talk it out.
I felt afterwards I felt bad because I don't know Sam Howell. I really don't. And then obviously the Vikings acquire Sam Howell. I'm gonna have to see this guy every day, so I better be careful. But I did, because my job requires of it. I went back and watched 3 games of all 22 film of Sam Howell. Is that a normal thing to do? No, it's not.
Right.
2023, he started for the Washington Commanders.
Yeah.
I watched 3 games.
Yep.
They played the Eagles, the Bills, and the 49ers.
Eagles, they lose, but he throws 4 touchdowns.
I don't know the counting stats. All I know is what I saw. Sam Howell, his offensive line was atrocious. I mean, it really, he was running for his life at all times. Now, did he turn pressures into sacks more than he probably should have? Yes, but he has a rocket for an arm. His downfield passing was pretty accurate. He has mobility, and it doesn't take a lot to squint and see the idea that Kevin O'Connell and this offensive staff would be able to put him in a situation to be much better than he was in 2023.
Are you predicting this? HOF.
Absolutely not,
Okay.
because from a processing / progressing over the middle of the field perspective,
Yeah.
the questions for me...
No, we're not talking about Shedeur Sanders. We're talking about Sam Howell.
Right. The questions for me would still remain, but I was way too harsh on him, and it bothered me that day, but it really bothered me once I actually watched the film and did what I should be doing.
Or somebody over there listening texted.
No, I will say, nobody from the Vikings facility texted me and said you were being too mean on Sam Howell. Now, did somebody hear it potentially? And do I want to get ahead of it before I meet Sam Howell? Absolutely.
Right.
But I will say, I could see the vision a little more than I think I could 2 weeks ago.
So what you're saying is,
It's a covenant cleanup. We say stupid things all of the time.
Yeah. It's a covenant cleanup. So last week you're saying,
So that would be an L for today.
100%.
and I'm saying,
Amen, brother.
for the self-awareness, the vulnerability, the contrition, and the approach you took. But to tell the truth, you were like, you were too harsh on somebody. You hadn't done the work, and then you did the work, and you're like, okay, I can see. We don't see it the way they see it, but you can see what they see.
Yeah.
And that's what I was trying to say last week is I think you're being a little hard on this guy because I'm not the leader of the Sam Howell fan club covenant.
Not
but what
yet.
I do know
Not
about
yet.
him,
You will be.
what I do know
Hopefully you
about
will,
him,
right?
as I said last week, is okay. Well, let me go quick twitch here. We didn't see this coming. I know he's gifted, and everybody around the league has always said Sam Howell is very, very gifted. He was one of the most highly touted quarterbacks out of high school in the last 20 years of football. Okay. So it didn't necessarily shake out that way for the North Carolina native. He's become a journeyman, but I didn't really know enough to like come at you with it or anything, with the exception of I know he's gifted and I've heard that he has a really, really good arm and he can actually run a little bit too. So then what I did is just to get the answer on him, I called Kevin O'Connell and I said, hey, Alex said this. Can you can you corroborate or verify?
Yeah, send him a text message. Yeah.
Or verify?
No, I look, in watching the film, I'll also say this. Like, there were I tweeted a play because this is absurd.
Yeah.
It was like Tuesday.
Because you're playing Covenant catch-up.
Yeah, it was Tuesday. Yeah, I was trying to frame the optics perfectly the way I say others try to. It's a hypocrisy 9 to noon show here for me today. But no, I will say I watched the game against the 49ers. And I tweeted out this one clip of him like scrambling left and throwing the ball down the field. It was an impressive throw.
Masterful.
But what I did not tweet was 2 plays later. I mean, there's some of these decisions that make you just want to toss your computer probably across the room. But
like think Nick Mullins.
Look, it's a
version of Nick Mullins.
No question.
Mullins had 20 some odd starts when he had to start here, and you cover it, man, and you get football very well. With the Dobbs experiment or what was happening with Jaron Hall, it didn't look like a Minnesota Vikings offense. I mean, they found a way to win some games with Dobbs, but it still didn't look like what we know it could look like from 2022. Mullins jumps into this thing. He's throwing players open. You got Jefferson and et al. Running on shallow crosses, being led, and there they go. And then you're in a tightly contested game, interception by the other team because Mullins had a propensity to throw the sucker away at the end. You know, I think in fairness, FISA for me, fairness and Sam Howell Act, until he proves that's not him, that's kind of Sam Howell a little bit too. Super gifted, can run your offense, sees it clearly. Let's limit the turnovers and just everybody be calm.
Yeah, I mean, it was crazy going back and rewatching the film. Like, he was in the shotgun with Washington as if it was like air raid with Mike Leach 70 times. It was like, what are we doing?
Right.
I get it. Was like, how far can we push this guy? It was okay. It was actually an enjoyable film to watch.
Yeah.
Which is, again, it's embarrassing. I shouldn't have been spending my Tuesday night watching Sam Howell film, but I owed it to him.
Yeah.
I really did. Yeah. I owed it to him.
Yeah.
If you were to tell,
and Josh McCown.
Yeah, Josh
McCown is the one I texted, and I said, look, I respect the opinion of Alec Lewis from The Athletic, and he just savaged Sam Howell. You guys are going to sign him in a couple of days. Can you? And then he's like, Alec did what?
Right. When Mike Charlatan sent me the message, I knew. I knew something.
That's a narrow casting reference, but it's a high end reference.
Yeah. No, like, if you were to tell me, like, worst case scenario is obviously JJ not being able to watch him ever. But if you were to tell me Sam is thrust in for a game or two and he flashes a little bit the way that Sam Darnold did, it wouldn't be the craziest thing in the world from what I watched on film. Now, hopefully we don't have to talk about it, and we can talk about the young kid, and the charisma and his ability to process the field and throw over the middle and all of the stuff that will make this fall very, very fun. Hopefully that's the conversation. But I had to say it because I did just absolutely shred Sam Howell and Aiden O'Connell.
No, you didn't. It was not an absolute shredding.
For me, to be a journalist, it was harsh. It was. And
you want to hear what an absolute shredding sounds like?
Let's hear it.
We don't need you.
Okay, now that's somebody out of body yelling.
We don't need you.
Actually getting that mad over something involving a radio show.
We don't need you.
That's shredding. Okay, you weren't that.
For me, it felt harsh. Now, I'm not walking back my Aiden O'Connell comments because I had already watched the film of Aiden O'Connell before.
Until Howell gets hurt and Aiden O'Connell's here, and
that's exactly right.
All of a sudden, he moves around like
text,
Mike Vick.
Right, I get another text from Ryan Gregson on how I'm going to get over it.
Right. Well, can you imagine? And I mean, there's still we can go back weeks/months if you want. If you believe the Minnesota Vikings have a desire to bring in a veteran backup quarterback, well, inherently, given Aaron Rodgers is a veteran and plays the position, it's not a zero-sum equation. Yes, he could be in the mix. So that was the baseline of that whole thing. Well, then I started talking and tweeting for days, and you guys pulled me in. Now, all of a sudden, I'm in this bordello. It's just completely aggressive. Can you imagine if Aaron Rodgers ends up here or ended up here somehow? Like, I don't want to say the backpedaling I have to do. I wouldn't backpedal. I stick by every single thing I say. But, I mean, I got to work with him, too. And I was not a fan of the whole situation. So, I mean, I kind of felt you from afar when you texted me earlier this week and asked for the FISA, the Fairness and Sam Howell Act, because you put the work in. So I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, like, I saw clips of Sam Howell from afar that 3-14 season, and some of them are just like, I mean, he's throwing it up for grabs, and it's punt return left for the other teams. So yeah. But I mean, the Rodgers thing, I'm honestly afraid to even say his name out loud these days. I just don't want to say his name out loud.
Either does Mike Tomlin.
Yeah. Well, Mike Tomlin might actually want to say his name out loud, but he is on the beach in California.
Yeah.
That whole thing for me is Pittsburgh is just waiting for him, and they have spoken optimistically about it. If he wanted to be there, why wouldn't he be there?
Because that would take his name out of the news.
Which is a fair.
Well, because it's Aaron, from what I know and what I believe, always has felt he's had this air of mystery to him that he thinks
the enigma
is really intriguing to everybody. It's not as intriguing as people think, and it's not as mysterious as people think. Not as many people care as deeply about what he thinks they do about him.
Especially, right? I mean, a 41-year-old quarterback who's recently removed from an Achilles tear.
Right.
I mean, the interesting thing is Pittsburgh. I mean, let's say Aaron Rodgers stays on the beach in Malibu. What do they do?
Well, I think he will show up to Pittsburgh. I think discretion is going to become the better part of valor.
Right.
Well, valor is the better part of discretion for Aaron Rodgers. And it has been not always, but last X amount of years. So it's eventually, Pittsburgh's not bad. You know, if somebody were to tell me that maybe because of the way things ended in Pittsburgh last year, or if I were to share with you, the way things ended in Pittsburgh last year, okay? Now, they didn't want Russ back, and Justin Fields, from what I understand, didn't want to deal with, like, everything that happened last year. So he was never coming back, and he got a fair penny from the Jets. But Justin, I don't think, wanted to deal with that. They claim they didn't want to deal with Russ. Russ may not have wanted to deal with them either, but he probably would have gone back. So the thing is, Arthur Smith, I think, is the offensive coordinator.
He is.
And maybe this is a published story. Maybe I saw it there or somebody told me it. It's Russell Wilson, the final 5 games of the season, kept changing out of these plays from runs and throwing. And it really, really, really frustrated that covenant. And it wasn't working.
Well, he's not good anymore. So.
Well, but here is how it ties into Juicy A-Raj. If Aaron has the opinion that covenant is discombobulated, that whole group there, they got some problems, and I don't want to deal with it. I'm not going to say I disagree with him wholeheartedly. I can understand where he's coming from, but I think that could be a fair way to look at it.
Well, the question for me, again, if he doesn't end up in Pittsburgh, which let's say, the odds would probably be high that he does. He wants to keep playing. He wants to rewrite the end of his story. But and all they have is Mason Rudolph and Will Howard. I actually kind of like Will Howard as like a developmental guy. Yeah. But I mean, for right now, it wouldn't make any sense. So you're just going to start Mason Rudolph. Is Kirk Cousins, I guess, probably in play at that point? But it's just kind of.
Are you familiar with Cam Hayward?
I am.
Cam Jordan or Cam Hayward?
Cam Hayward.
Hayward, thank you. Well, I mean, right at the beginning, of course, you know this, you follow a lot closely. But for those who missed it, very early in this equation, Cam Hayward went public on podcast TV or something, and he basically paraphrasing was like, Aaron, if you don't want to be here, tell us. But if you do want to be here, get your ass here, man. So that was weeks/months ago.
It was like a month and a half ago at least.
Okay, so he's letting it be known right there. We want you. You have let us know that you're interested and in fact, probably want to be here. But now you have this fictitious thing or this whatever situation's happening in your mind thinking that you're going to be the starting quarterback of the 2025 Minnesota Vikings, which, whether it ever was going to be a case 1% or 99%, that's water under the proverbial bridge. But when a respected teammate like that comes out and says something like that, when Aaron shows up, it's not going to be, hey, we're going to fly a private jet for you, which they probably would. We're going to have all the news stations televise it, pick you up at the airport like Favre in 2009, and everybody's going to embrace you. I think it'll be quiet with the veterans. They'll be happy to have him because he can help them win games more so than Mason Rudolph or Will Howard. But I think it's going to be a little strange there if and or when he comes.
Well, I mean, that's why when you say if and or when, to me, the if is still worth mentioning because
I don't think he has the guts to retire.
He might not have the guts, but he also probably doesn't have the want to have the narrative of the end of his career be what it is. So, it's
I think when he was told by these guys here, eventually in a roundabout way, for that it's not just roll in, roll out the ball and start. We actually like this kid and we want to raise him. It's when why wouldn't he want to be here? Jefferson, Addison, O'Connell, and now you've solidified the Minnesota Moving Company. Old people want to play indoors, and the majority of the games are indoors. Fast surface, whole thing. Yeah, I understand that,
of course.
But I actually, and I'm speculating here because I haven't been told this. I've been told the rest. I think he was devastated when somebody told him no. It's not everybody likes to be told no, especially those who aren't used to being told no. And when you get your first conclusive no, it hurts. And that's just kind of what I think is like setting him back a little bit. But I don't think, when I say I don't think he has the guts to retire, is, Aaron can still play. So Aaron can still bring it. I'm not saying, I don't know if he's top 10, top 15, I don't know what he is, but if you protect him and he runs the play action great, he still can stretch left and right and get out and move a little bit. Arm is one of the best in the history of the National Football League, and it's still high end. So he's going to look at all of that lack of options and probably end up there.
You're probably right. He's not still the peak performer. Not even anywhere close to where he was in his prime. But anybody who questions him having any ability, I just highly recommend to go watch the film of the game that he played last year of the Jets and the Rams, and he makes a throw to Davante Adams in the red zone. That is a throw that you just guys just aren't going to try. They don't have the they're not egotistical enough to even try that pass. But it's there in the film if you go look for it. But yeah, it's probably not worth talking about unless you're in Pittsburgh and your season's, you're teetering towards another middle of the road season. But no, it's been good here. It's been fun. It was cool to see JJ get up at the mic the other day. It was good to see him throw. Still the athletic whippy arm action that I remember, everything that we saw last year. Still the charisma at the press conference that everybody remembers. So this summer is going to be pretty fun. Rookie mini camps next week, the workouts and stuff, potentially multiple joint practices. The lead up to this 2025 season is probably going to be as much fun as we've had here in a long time.
We watched a lot of Aaron Rodgers throws last year. That Davante Adams throw was absolutely fantastic. My favorite throw happened to be this one.
3 receivers right, 1 left. They blitz Rodgers, and they pay for it. Picked off by Van Ginkel. Near side to the 50. On the sideline, 40. And is loose. Touchdown! Has put Aaron Rodgers on the 5th pick 6 of his career. It's a 63-yard return, and the Minnesota Vikings have taken a 9-0.
It's true that some things change as we get older. But if you're a woman over 40 and you're dealing with insomnia, brain fog, moodiness, and weight gain, you don't have to accept it as just another part of aging. And with MIDI Health, you can get help and stop pushing through it alone. The experts at MIDI understand that all these symptoms can be connected to the hormonal changes that happen around menopause, and MIDI can help you feel more like yourself again. Many healthcare providers aren't trained to treat or even recognize menopause symptoms. MIDI clinicians are menopause experts They're dedicated to providing safe, effective, FDA-approved solutions for dozens of hormonal symptoms, not just hot flashes. Most importantly, they're covered by insurance. 91% of MIDI patients get relief from symptoms within just 2 months. You deserve to feel great. Book your virtual visit today at joinmidi.com. That's joinmidi.com.
Fan.
KFAN and Sukup Manufacturing bring you Fan on the Farm starting May 19th. 9 to noon, we'll be taking your tractor talkbacks. Each day, one farmer will be chosen to receive a Sukup prize pack, including a Carhartt cooler and a Brewmate Growler canteen. Get full details now, KFAN.com/farm. The Sukup Manufacturing Company, helping farmers feed and fuel the world.
Here, Brett Blakemore, Double B. Here, Brett's Bets fame. Here is one of his favorite Minnesota Vikings radio network calls from last year.
No huddle operation. Darnold looking to go on second down, and here he goes out of the shotgun. He pumps, fires to the end zone. Touchdown! Jalen Naylor with his 6th touchdown this season, and Sam has thrown 33, and the Vikings have a 6-3 lead
over the Green Bay Packers. The Alec Lewis, the draft picks, how did it shake out in your estimation? We 9 to noon has not chatted with Alec Lewis on the radio about the Donovan Jackson through the Gavin Bartholomew, the Texas wide receiver who got like $250,000 to be a college free agent, a couple of beef eaters, one from Kansas, one from Wisconsin, and just the totality of it. What? How did the whole thing shake out in your estimation?
Yeah, I mean, to me, you really got to think about it a couple ways. One, it's almost as if you must factor Dallas Turner into this mix. It's going to be a massive offseason for him in evaluating how he looks, how he produces once the season begins. So I think that's the first place. Second, you traded a 6th-round pick for Jordan Mason, so he's kind of factored into the mix for me. Sam Howell, you traded back and acquired him as the backup quarterback. So you have those three, and then you got, Donovan Jackson is just, I've talked to a lot of people around him this past week. People have spent a lot of time with him.
And how is John Cooper?
And who's John Cooper?
Former Ohio State University coach.
Okay.
Because I can't remember the current guy. Oh, Ryan Day. How is Ryan Day?
Yeah. So people over there have nothing but phenomenal things to say about Donovan. And then, you just go down the list of, like, Ty Felton. When you're drafting a receiver in the 3rd round, late in the 3rd round, the way they did, the hit rate on a starter at that level of the draft is like 20%. And it's only lower for the Tyrion Ingram Dawkins, the Kobe Kings, the Bartholomews. Ingram Dawkins is maybe the most interesting to me. I've got a lot of buddies who root for Georgia, and they're pretty mad he didn't come back. Had he gone back to school and they utilized him a little better, feels like top 40 kind of guy. Yeah, there is a world in which he is a pretty high draft pick, and to imagine Brian Flores and defensive line coach Marcus Dixon utilizing that guy, it's interesting. The UDFA's, like you mentioned, the returner Bolden, he's a name to watch.
Is it Silas Bolden?
Silas Bolden. There's a defensive lineman, Tyler Batty from BYU, who just sounds like is the ultimate rugged, come in UDFA, impress people in the building type of guy. And there are other names. So it wasn't crazy from a draft grade perspective, which is so silly that people do right after the draft. Like the Vikings draft is not going to blow anyone out of the water. But
Alec, you did a 7-round mock.
I did.
There's nothing ridiculous about that time of the year when it comes to drawing attention to the draft.
It is the 7-round mock. I did 4 of them. It is absolutely ridiculous. Like, let's be very clear. If editors didn't ask me to have X amount of stories, I probably wouldn't do it. Now,
I did 4 of them.
There is part of that where you want to set people up for the expectation of what the Vikings are going to do. Like, I And it's easy to take this victory lap after the fact, and sports writers love doing this.
And I felt that way after the Aaron Rodgers chat, but anyway.
I bet you did.
I'm just kidding.
It's easy, like sports media people. It's always so funny. Like you love being right, and you feel like you're
tweeting yourself.
Yeah, like you feel like you're so
stupid.
You feel like you're so important because you are a sports writer. Like congratulations, you do something that matters so little in what makes an impact in
that
people.
You got to quote tweet yourself from 6 months ago to point it out.
Right, correct. But I will say, like, I never expected the Vikings to draft a safety in the first round.
You were steadfast on that.
I also was pretty confident that throughout the entirety of the draft, they probably weren't going to draft a safety. I didn't push incredibly hard on it because it is smokescreen central around that time of year.
As a lot of people learned during the Aaron Rodgers chat. Okay, 3-2, go ahead.
No,
I'm just poking the baby bear right now.
No, it's good. It's fun. I do. It is the time of year where people like, you see it's like, I loved this guy in the second round, so it's a great. It becomes a little silly in that regard, but no, in general, I thought the Vikings
shook out okay.
Yeah, and really, it's going to be incumbent upon Dallas Turner being a really freaking good player because of the amount of draft capital they traded for him, and that's what matters most.
I just wanted to say copyright noon to 3. Nicely done.
Yeah, about tooting somebody's horn. I've now heard the name Dallas Turner multiple times this last segment. In honor of beloved Double B and his favorite football team, into the game, sacked only 11 times this season. He's been sacked twice today. Cashman has 1.5. Van Ginkel has 0.5. Tucker Kraft, who can be a menacing presence, in motion to the left. 1st and 10 from the Green Bay 38. Minnesota blitzes Byron Murphy Jr., but is picked up. Love. He's sacked by Dallas Turner. And the rookie takes down Jordan Love. It'll be 2nd and 18. Sorry about that, Double B. See, this is the tearing others down
leader
to feel better about myself after what happened with the Wild last night. But now it just the epiphany from the Gridiron Gospel just hit me with, well, I'm tearing a brother down because you love the Wild too.
I know.
In fact, you've been a lot bigger fan for longer than me.
Yeah, but JJ Paterka's just on the way over. So
yeah, but don't leave home without that Matthew Nyes restricted piece.
I always love that one.
Okay, the draft, quite honestly, was boring for me, and here's why. Because when you come into it, as I learned this year for the first time, with only 4 picks, it's not, I paid attention to it. I didn't go deep diving outside of Jimmy Horn Jr. I got all his albums. Outside of Jimmy Horn Jr. and a few others, I didn't really go to deep diving on, like when you go 24 and then 40 whatever, and you moved up into the 3rd round, so you now have 3 of the first 80. That was more compelling than heading into it with 4, knowing the team is relatively stacked as it is. And it's I don't go to steamrolling, past the 1st round. So it's some can go steamrolling rounds 2 to 7 for show. I'm going to steamroll round 1 for dough. And we knew it would be a guard. I was doing the draft party show, and you're over at TCOPC. Were you surprised when Booker went 12th? It kind of blew me away a little bit.
Yes, somewhat. I was told by a Falcon scout the day before, didn't expect.
Well, how is Jimmy Blank?
No,
Arthur's nephew.
I was told that he'd probably go before 24.
Wow.
I talked to an agent who said
we kind of knew that though.
Right. I
talked 12.
Yeah, at 12 was high. I talked to an agent the day before who said that the Cowboys have been telling everybody it's not going to be Tyler Booker. So when that kind of happens, you start to feel a little skeptical. But once Tyler Booker went 12, felt like there was zero chance Gray Zabel was going to get there at 24.
Right.
And then it became a question of, do they like Donovan Jackson enough? And the answer was yes.
Yeah, they clearly did. And
but it was boring. It was boring. Like the week of the draft.
The Shador stuff was getting to me. I don't.
If it weren't for the Shador stuff, what in the heck would people? The ratings would have been terrible. There was someone in the NFL who said, am I surprised he's still there?
Wow.
Yes.
Well, how is Peter Schrager? I haven't talked to him since the switch.
No, someone said, am I surprised that Shedeur is still there? Yes. Do I care about it? No.
Right.
And that's kind of how I was. Shedeur, woohoo, but okay, it's not that interesting for me. But yeah, the draft was boring, and the networks clung to the Shedeur thing as they should. It probably drove up ratings and money, and that's kind of how the world works.
It's the only sporting event, so to speak, that is permitted to be covered where you can hey, I'm on ABC. Oh, there's the draft. Oh, I'm on ESPN, ABC family. Oh, there's the draft. Oh, I'm on NFL Network. Oh, there's the draft. Holy cow, they were cannibalizing each other.
You give the NFL credit because this event is ridiculous. You used to just wake up in the newspaper and it's Texas A&M edge rusher got drafted at 24th. This doesn't need to be a spectacle, but you blend hope from fan bases, uncertainty. I mean, they've hit the nail. They've made this really ridiculous thing.
It's not ridiculous.
It's
what do you have against let journalists write? Okay. There was a time when you were at Missouri where you were let journalists write.
Let the kids write.
Let the kids write. Right. Let the kids write. Let the kids play and be drafted, man. Stop killing the kids.
No, it's
or
great.
We'll do FICA next week, Fairness in Kids Act.
No, look, I enjoy the draft. It's fun, but at the core of it, it's just this. It's you're just picking players from
a rodeo.
It's silly. I give the NFL credit because they have capitalized on this thing that is. They've made an off-season event that, for us, it does as much readership as a playoff week is going to do. And
no doubt.
That's why
Football
we're doing.
always wins, man.
Yeah, that's why we're doing 7-round mock
That's
draft.
the voice of Alec Lewis. You're quite familiar with The Voice, the podcasting, the coverage of the Vikings at The Athletic. And he's been the co-host for the Friday Fill-In Feast today. We have an hour to go. And don't forget to leave us those wild talkbacks, please. We're looking for wild closure related talkbacks. And we're going to play them back about 15, 20 minutes from now. Around the corner, some Timberwolves with the great Johnny Athletic. But, those of you who follow social media, here's how it started and here's how it ended. People who do tweets like that, encapsulating or just in truncated fashion, that plays into the wild last night. Here's how it started.
Let's play hockey!
And here's how it ended.
Ugh. Spam calls. Sound familiar? Introducing Line 2. Get a second phone number right on your existing phone. Imagine discounts, appointments, online forms. Handle it all without giving out your personal number. It's like having a secret weapon against spam. And when those unwanted calls sneak through, boom, blocked. No more interruptions, no more stress. Stay connected, stay protected. Keep your main number safe and out of harm's way. Ready to take back your phone? Visit line2.com/audio or download Line 2 in the App Store today.